And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of B2B Live, where I uh, connect with entrepreneurs such as yourself, professionals such as yourself, who are revolutionizing the industry and who are doing it in such a strategic and powerful way that really their collaborations, their insights. This is why I'm bringing it to you. So you can learn, how can you thrive in life? How can you thrive in business? How do I know who I can partner and work with so that my mission, my message, all of these things can go forth? So today I have an incredible guest. His name is Nipuna Perera. I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Got it.
Yes, perfect. Please welcome him. And Nipuna, please share with us who you are, who you serve, and how you're positively influencing lives.
Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here, Delissa. So I first want to say I'm grateful, I'm gonna bring the best value I can today for everybody. So, for everybody who's joining in live, my name is Nipuna Perera. I graduated with a neuroscience major degree from University of Toronto. Um, but my plan originally was to get into medicine and then start my own clinic. As fate would have it, I chose a different life, getting into business right away, and helping people alleviate pain and live a better quality of life as we age. And I turned that business into to be very profitable just because. To answer your question, Dilsa, I'm here to service people. That's my virtue. That's my value, and be in service to my faith along that path. So, did you want to get me to go into a little bit of my background and how I got into it, or?
Yes, absolutely. Like this is why we're here. I know the story of
Yeah,
how you got into the fit whale
yeah,
part of it, but yeah, share with the audience because once they understand how you transformed your health
yeah,
through your business, it's a game changer.
absolutely, yeah. So I originally wanted to get into neurology because your brain is the command center for your whole body, spiritually, in a biological sense, in all aspects of life. So I thought I could make a big difference, especially since now the baby boomers are getting older. My parents being included in that category. There's a lot of neurodegenerative diseases that's like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's that's has taken over at a rampant rate. So when I graduated university and waiting for med school, that I had a year off, I started experiencing a lot of joint pain. It came into my consciousness because I was, still young but aging, and that those joint pains came from me playing a lot of contact sports. So I had at that point I had two knee surgeries, and after I started my business, I had a third knee surgery, and they all came from me being very overweight and putting a lot of pressure on my joints as I played contact sports. For those of you guys that haven't, met me or seen my previous pictures, I used to weigh 300 pounds when I was about 15 plus years around that, but teenage years, if I were to say. And that created a lot of unnecessary pressure on my joints. So right when I was graduating, I experienced a lot of arthritic type pains in my joints to the point, Alyssa, I would go up a staircase in my house and I would be in so much pain that I would have to sit down. And when you're younger, you don't really recognize it as much, but then as you kind of experience it consistently as you age, then it comes into consciousness and it become a very poor quality of life. So my friend, by chance, one of my friends one of my best friends today, that I met at a garage while I was servicing my car. When God has plans for you, that's you don't know where it's coming from. He introduced me to a supplement, and growing up, I've never taken any type of supplementation, other than maybe a multivitamin or some protein for muscle building, or something of that nature. And it was an antioxidant. So I started taking it for about 3 weeks in. I went up the same staircase And I realized my response was different. I didn't have as much pain. So it was a positive reinforcing loop. So I kept taking it. And in about a month and a half, my pain was about 90% gone. And this was without using drugs for like or medication, like an Advil or any of that over the counter uh, pain relievers as well. Yeah. So more from a natural way. And then this is around November, I would say. And then when spring came along, I used to get really bad seasonal allergies, which also took me by surprise because I'm from Sri Lanka, and back home, even though we don't have seasons, it's one flat
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
There's allergies is not really a common thing. So I only developed it when I came to Canada, which is another story where it has a lot to do with your gut health, for me personally at least.
Mhm.
But this antioxidant helped me with my seasonal allergies,
Mm.
where I probably sneezed like 5 times during the whole spring season. And it did look like I was crying and dying every single day
Yeah, yeah,
from the
yeah.
allergic reaction. So that kind of got me curious. And then it got me curious about the products, the manufacturers, and all that good stuff when you think about businesses. And shifted my whole career to being in service to other people to put them on a better path through supplementation, proper, I don't want to say nutrition, but proper choice of food.
Right.
And then lastly, which has a big component to being healthy and aging in a good way, mental health as well.
100%. Wow. So, for those who are tuned in, thank you all so much for tuning in. And if you guys didn't hear what Nipuna was talking about, he was sharing that he had arthritic pain as a teenager, as a young man. He had lots of contact sports that was happening, and he couldn't even walk up his stairs properly. So, yeah, he took an antioxidant from, he went to get his car fixed. He went, go get your car fixed. And his friend said, hey, try this, right? This is not over the counter medication or pain relief. It was just like a supplement, right? A health supplement that
Food derived supplement. Yeah.
yeah, that you tried, all natural, all organic, all that stuff. And within 3 weeks, all of a sudden you can walk up the stairs without huffing and puffing, without needing a break, without being in pain, which is huge because sometimes with arthritis, it can be painful. You can be laying in bed for a bit, just being in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And now, months later, all of a sudden, your allergies have cleared up. And so this got you on the path. I find it interesting. It took you going to your garage
I know.
to get your car fixed when you were a neuroscientist, like you were training to become this doctor. You're trying to understand the brain. You wanted to understand degenerative diseases and how you can help. And you found that answer
Yeah.
at the garage, getting your car fixed, getting an oil change.
So it wasn't just my car that got fixed that day.
No. Well, that's why he's your best friend.
Right.
I want to touch on a bit and really start going into that supplement choice.
Right. Yes.
Because you work with brands or companies who are, they're transparent, right? They get third party testing
Correct.
for their supplements. So it has to have that level of purity,
Yes.
for example, so that people can actually see the results.
Yeah.
What was that pivotal moment for you when you were like, aside from your own experience in this, you're like, you started to go down that rabbit hole, dare I call it that, right? To really focus in on your health and to heal your body, heal your mind, and to heal your spirit.
Yeah. For me personally, it was the fact, Delissa, that I knew we have a better way of living life that we're not necessarily the mass media doesn't talk about as much. It is changing now with the political administration change, especially in the US and so forth. But it's always been that if you have a pain, go to doctor. Maybe there's a little bit of nutritional health or
Mhm.
supplementation suggestions from the physician, but then there's usually followed up by medication of some sort.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that. I just was focusing more on how we can optimize ourselves so we don't have to rely on outside sources. So when it came to supplementation in itself, I'm a big proponent of don't take anything you don't need. so,
Yeah.
uh, so that's one, and two is save your money because we all live in an economic time where we're trying to save money as much as possible and earn more income. So I really focus on recommendations, one to two, maybe three things that we can identify and attack the foundation to make it solid, to so that we can have a better quality of life as we age. It's pretty much kind of like doing an oil change for your car, where our bodies need similar aspect of take care. So I focus on supplementation that can attack the root or focus on the root, so the tree can grow to be very prosperous. So to give you a terminology that I took from one of my mentors is a sexy three, sexy three supplementation,
Mhm.
which usually ends up being a multivitamin, a very good antioxidant, and a
Mhm.
very good omega 3, so which covers pretty much a big foundational point. Um,
Sorry, let's go back. What's the sexy three?
so-
Yeah, I got to do that.
yeah, a good multivitamin.
Good
Uh,
multivitamin. I'm writing it down because
yeah,
this is important. A good multivitamin,
a good antioxidant,
good antioxidant,
and a good omega 3.
and a good omega 3. Thank you.
And then there's something called, well, if you add two more, it becomes an essential five.
Yeah.
So the other two, if you were to build on that, would be a good vitamin D3,
Mhm.
and then finally a good probiotic.
And a good probiotic. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, these are maintenance to give everybody an idea. And there's always that caveat. Hey, why can't we get it from food? I'm eating healthy. I'm working out, and so on and so forth. 100%, we should get these from food. That's the start. That's the foundation. But data shows now, even when we are focusing on all that we can eat, and we get it from organic sources and et cetera, et cetera. Um, because of food production increase per, let's say, per 100 gram of a piece of broccoli, we are not getting the same concentration of multivitamins and multimineral that we used to get in back in, let's say, 50 years ago even.
Mhm.
So we got to eat a lot more of that broccoli to get the same amount of daily required dose of that micronutrient. And we can't eat that much in one sitting, nor throughout the whole day. Otherwise, we will just be eating for 8 hours, 8 hours a day. So hence also why now, doctors do recommend a lot of supplementation when we go in to for checkups and etc. And supplementation businesses have become $1 billion industry in the last 15 plus years now, Delisa,
Yeah.
because of that as well. So we hence we do have to start with good food foundation, and it doesn't need to be complicated. I'm a big proponent of keeping things simple. So whenever a person emails or DMs me or texts me with any type of concern, I do a free consultation. So that's what I offer for everybody, where we identify what's already the client what's already
Yeah.
they're taking, they're eating, and then build from there. So when it comes to food, we don't need to make it complicated. I always say focus on things that are not processed. Start with that.
Yeah. For
That
sure. For
also,
sure. I want us to go
yeah.
back to the good supplement piece because
Yes,
this
yes.
is very important, and I think a lot of people who've tuned in, there's over 100 people. They've been connected with us for the last 10 minutes. Okay, who are tuned
Great.
in. If there's anyone who's online that has any questions about supplementation, perhaps, and we'll talk a bit more about what he used to heal his arthritis, as well as to be in good health, not only for himself, his other clients, because he has lots and lots of testimonials. Not only just the testimonials, as well as backed by data, because
Absolutely.
everything that he's done is all backed. There's lots of research that goes into it and all of those things. When you were talking about the supplements,
Hmm.
you talked about a good multivitamin, a good antioxidant, and a good omega-3. You also
Correct.
talked about a good probiotic,
Yes.
and which was the last one? A good
Vitamin D3.
vitamin D3. So
Yes.
these are the five, your top five.
Correct.
How can we decipher
Hmm.
what is a quote unquote good quality product?
Thank you for asking that question, Delissa. Um, I could also tell this is not the first time you've done this. That's a
No.
very good quality for question. So that's what I do. That's why I do what I do, Delissa, because there's so many products out there. So for those of you who don't know, I don't have a manufacturing plant where I have tons of products sitting. I'm trying to move out. I work with a franchise that work with different vendors all across North America. So what we do is we compare and see what's best, and sometimes we source that, and sometimes we go to that same manufacturer and say, can you make something that's a better quality because you already have this amount of market share for your product? So that way, when a client comes to me, I don't have to say, oh, you have to buy this. I'll say, these are the vendors that I work with, or brands,
Yeah.
and this is what would work for you. And if this doesn't, we can go to a different vendor. So it's kind of like if you think of like a mortgage broker, you don't have to stick with
Yeah.
one financial company. It's a very similar aspect there when it comes to supplementation. So that being said, the number one thing that I don't want to say specialized, but has a lot of popularity for is a brand called Isotonics with the X at the end, that we broker. I'm not legally allowed to say uh,
Yeah.
the companies that do conglomerately make it, but
Mhm.
it's one of the top three companies in North America and around the world that makes
Mhm.
drugs slash supplementation. So when we broker that product, we look at Centrum, for example. That's everywhere. You shop at Drug Mart,
Mhm.
Kirkland, Costco has their own, let's say, a multivitamin. What we really put forward to say is, if you spend $1, let's say per dose, are you getting that whole dollar worth absorbed into your body and doing what it's supposed to?
Mhm.
Versus you spend $1, 90 cents of it you're peeing out of the toilet in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah. That's
Because
true.
my right, because me being a very cost effective person, my brain goes, hey, if I can get 60, let's say, tablets, right, of a multivitamin for $10 versus if I had to spend $20 for the same amount, I'm going to go with the 10. But now I'm peeing more of that product out and have to actually spend more to get the same absorption
Yeah.
than if I would go with the $20 one. So with this brand, it's all a powder form that
Mhm.
you mix with a certain amount of water. And
Mhm.
what it does, it makes the product the same pressure as the body fluids in your as your body fluids. So think of it like, when you put eye drops into your eyes, soothing. Then if you were to put water into your eye, it stings a
Mhm.
little bit, because water is not in an isotonic, which is a scientific term, isotonic
Mhm.
solution, where the eye drop is. And the same reason that babies can drink breast milk, for example, because it's an isotonic form. So what we do is we take a multivitamin and put it into this isotonic form. So
Right.
when you drink it, there's no binders, there's no fillers,
Right.
none of that negative stuff that your liver has to go through hours and hours to break down. So when you drink it, within 5 to 10 minutes, 95% of it is bioavailable,
Yeah.
meaning it's already in your bloodstream. So if you were to do a saliva sample, um, it's already you can detect it in your saliva. So that means, especially if you're aging, and you have a harder time absorbing nutrients,
Right.
it doesn't make sense to give that client something that we call bedpan bullets in the in the nursing or the medical
Yeah.
field, where you find it in that tablet in the bedpan because your body
Right.
wasn't able to absorb it. So that's
Right.
where the advantage come in. And to give you a personal experience, those are the antioxidant I took. The main ingredient in it is the bark of the pine tree.
Mm.
It's shaved, and we
Yeah.
extracted the ingredient called pycnogenol. So, for those of you who don't know, pycnogenol, being a very high functioning antioxidant, what it does, it is reduces inflammation in your body. So, as you reduce inflammation, you have less aging related type symptoms, or I don't
Hmm.
want to say less diseases, but
Symptoms.
less
Yeah.
aging types symptoms like joint pains, less
Hmm.
high blood pressure, better eye, get better eyesight, better hair, everything in that nature. Um, so that product, it worked for me in like a month for like a 90% of my pain
Hmm.
alleviation because it was in that isotonic format. So when I drank it in the morning, in 5 minutes, it was already circulating within my body
In the
and doing
body.
what it's supposed to. Yeah. So I look at all those factors, and there are some products, of course, you can't put it to an isotonic
Mm.
format. For example, omega-3 you can't really put fat into a powdered format,
Hmm.
so you have to drink it. Um, but that goes without saying for those types of items.
I like how you broke down the antioxidant. If anyone has any questions, please put it in the comment. Ask away. This is why that's why he's here. He's here to help you, to guide you through picking the right supplements. And as Nipuna mentioned, this isn't only for to push a product. Normally, a brand will try, like, say we're pushing this particular product. We're pushing this product because, of course, it's brand related.
Exactly.
Versus with what he's doing and the training that he has, um, as well as experience, because I think that trumps all of it. This stuff that he takes himself, right? They're always looking at what is the best supplement for the
Mhm.
body, and each client is different because not everyone is going to need the same things. So
Correct.
inflammation is inflammation, but there's a bigger piece to it because maybe the inflammation can just be due to lack of zinc or
100%. Yeah.
yeah, like and a lot of people are lacking zinc right now without them knowing it. It's true. I was lacking zinc, for
Yeah.
example. So it's really understanding and processing the fact that what we're paying for, we're actually getting the reciprocal. It's like you in business. When you're showing up to work, right? Maybe you're working with a client, or if you're a professional, someone's paying you to
Mhm.
do the work, and they're expecting a certain ROI. But at the same time, you're expecting a certain ROI. So the ROIs go both ways.
Mhm.
And for me personally, I know if I'm taking a supplement and I went through like thousands and thousands, like it's just insane how much I've spent from like in the course of like 20 years to find
Right.
the right supplement that would work for me.
Mhm.
And I would see it, as you said, like in the toilet, right? Because you're either peeing it out a lot of the times. Or it comes out in your sweat, like maybe you're sweating, or like especially if you're trying something new, and you know exactly, and people are in the gym, you guys all know because you're all taking um, your different supplements and vitamins and stuff like that. So definitely eating nutritionally, healthily,
Yeah,
getting your fruits and vegetables in. That's number
that's right.
one. Drinking pure water. That's
Mhm.
a huge factor. And then supplementing with good antioxidants and multivitamins and probiotics to reduce the inflammation in the body, because the inflammation starts and then that spans out into the different
Oh, yeah.
things like joint
100%.
pain, muscle pain, slow recovery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I
Yes.
want, yes, of course. I want to touch on something. What is it here? Okay. Wellness strategies.
Mhm.
How can, a business person or a professional, anybody, whoever's tuning in, how can they transform their health naturally with sustainable lifestyle practices? How can they do that? And
Very
taking,
good.
maybe they don't have to take like the whole shelf of supplements
Yes. Yeah.
without taking the shelf of supplements.
Uh, It's customized to each person. That question, those are according to what their lifestyle is. I just want to first say that. But from a general perspective, we always have to focus on the foundational, your daily habits, and then add the supplementation and diet on top of that, which one of the biggest things that a lot of clients don't get these days all across North America, believe it or not, is proper sleep, which causes higher cortisol levels.
Mm.
And higher cortisol levels cause higher inflammation, and higher inflammation causes 90% of a lot of the issues that we experience that are negative, quote unquote. So I would say that that's one of the biggest things we, as a whole society, need to focus on very much. And then from that point on, resistance training. There's a lot of science out there now that dictates that higher muscle mass. Again, for women, I just want to point out, you can't get muscles like a bodybuilder by working out at the gym. Okay, genetically, it's not possible. So you don't have to worry about doing resistance training unless you're taking some types of therapies, hormone therapies, to get to that level. So second is the resistance training, adding 15 to 30 minutes per day from home. You can do it from home. You don't need to go to a gym, to increase a little bit of that lean muscle mass. Adds tremendous amount of good quality life years to your whole lifespan, because the higher your muscle mass is, lean muscle mass is, the more your blood sugar level has a chance not to fluctuate throughout the day, which is huge, because higher blood sugar level causes a lot of issues, diseases as we age. So that's the second. And then the third, to answer your question, because those two things you can control. If you're getting if you're a busy professional, having militant time that you go to sleep, set an alarm where 15 minutes before your sleep time, your phone goes and shuts off, your screen time is off, and then read a book or something that tires you out in that 15 minutes and go to sleep in that militant time. So you get that proper amount of sleep. And then in the morning, again, putting into a schedule, having an accountability buddy, whatever, that takes you and motivates you to work out for that small amount of time before your day gets busy. That's a huge one. And then third, most important when it comes to what I do, is the supplementation aspect. Adding a foundational supplementation plus one or two things that are supplementation-wise that you wanted to add to get to a certain goal. So I know for North America and previous trends from what I've seen in terms of, like, you're talking about data and analytics as well, is that on top of having a good multivitamin, an omega and an antioxidant, do consider adding, for you busy professionals working quote unquote indoors all day, a good vitamin D3. Vitamin D, every cell in your body, Alyssa, has a receptor for vitamin D, to give you an idea. And it's the only vitamin that your body can actually produce itself, because it's that important.
I got a question for you with that.
Yeah.
And I'm cutting you off because you know what? Why can't I just go outside and get vitamin D from the sun? I've heard that people taking the vitamin D supplement is unnecessary because you just need to go out in the sun and get your 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Of course, you're not going out at the high time or the peak time to get sunshine, but what's wrong with getting that natural vitamin D supplement versus having to take a supplement? I'm paying someone to give me a supplement that my body just needs to be out in nature.
Yeah, I love that question. So number one, your vitamin D production is it differs according to what time of the day you're out as well. Where the morning sun has a different wavelength that comes into your body, which produces higher rate of vitamin D compared to other times. So that's number one. One of the points, sorry. And second point is that when you get anytime, let's say you eat an egg which has vitamin D, to give you an example, or you get the sun in you to have vitamin D production. Vitamin D goes through numerous chemical reactions through your body to become vitamin D3. And these chemical reactions are called methylation steps. is a scientific word for change or adding or removing something to make something new. Vitamin D3 is the active form that your body needs. So
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
our bodies, the reason that we've seen an increase of taking vitamin D3 is two parts. One is that through our lifestyles or whatever it may be, that process has been not efficient for most of us here. I don't have the research as to say what exactly it is.
Mhm.
Hence, the vitamin D3 is not being created as to the optimal level in our bodies, even though we might be getting good amount of sun, good amount of diet, and etc. The second component is also due to stress lifestyle habits, that vitamin D3 production has also been affected. So a person that drinks at the end of the day, for example, that increases or reduces the amount of vitamin D3 production in your body, or a person that's stressed about finances, for example, high cortisol levels throughout the day, and so on and so forth. So it's not just the fact that those kind of effects, lifestyle effects, have reduced the number of vitamin D3, but it also adds more, to give a general term, more issues into your body, which requires more vitamin D than what we
Mhm.
can get just from the sun. Plus, we also now wear sunscreens and etc., which also reduces the amount of rays that we do get into our body to produce vitamin
Oh, I
D3.
see. Yeah, because a lot of people are wearing different stuff on their face, like the sunscreen, or a lot of women wear makeup. Not all the time. Sometimes, and of
Yeah,
course, you come up with a valid point. Different time of day provides different um, levels of um, sunshine. It's,
correct.
it's either more intense or less intense, um, and and then of course where you're living. So if you're in a
Yes,
city,
great point too.
there's a lot of pollution, so it's coming through, and versus if you're in the country, which it's more pure, it's cleaner, the air is cleaner, so
100%.
air quality is good. When we're looking at the supplements and we're looking at the antioxidant and that healing aspect of
Hmm.
it, how how should people create a good lifestyle, a good habit of taking the supplementations? That's the first half of the question. And the second half of the question: when do they know that they either need to stop? Because we can overtake supplements and give
Hmm.
our bodies an abundance of it.
Right. So, to answer your first question, Dosa, this is a suggestion I would give for anybody, not just for supplementation. But there's a great book written called Atomic Habits.
Yes.
So I'm going to use something from that book that I've learned that I've applied to my clients and myself. It's called habit stacking. So when it comes to at least the products that I broker, there are certain products that works better with food, and certain products that works better on an empty stomach. So the way I always say is something that we do when we wake up in the morning is to brush our teeth.
Hmm.
So coupling taking a supplement with an activity like that dramatically increases the consistency of taking something. And you can do for any type of good habit that you want to input into your lifestyle. So for my antioxidant that I take, it's supposed to be on an empty stomach. So the way I did it was I coupled it with after I brush my teeth, I go down to the kitchen, make it, drink it, and it's done for the whole day.
Hmm.
So it was much easier. I didn't have to think about it throughout the day. Life gets busy, and it was done. So that's something I always suggest for all my clients, to couple it with something that they're already doing. It's like brushing their teeth, or it could vary from person to person in what they do. That's a good habit to
Hmm.
couple it with. And the second question: when we take a supplementation that your body doesn't need as much, our body is great at getting rid of waste at certain levels in your cells. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So, let's say you take a multivitamin and you take too much of it, Delissa, your body will pee it out. You'll actually see it in your pee. So
Mhm.
it's your body can't store it and overdose on something like that. Where a drug is very different because it has an acute response in your body and it creates certain chemical reactions that are it's just geared to do. So you can overdose on something like that. Where especially if it's a food derived supplement, it's just like you're eating a little bit too much of that and you just pee it out or you have
Yeah.
number two and it goes
Okay.
out. Um, and the other component of it is if you were to take a tablet, is where I would say too much of it can be an issue because, or tablet format, sorry, because they have a lot of binders and fillers. That's where your
Mhm.
body gets a lot of stress from, not so much the calcium in a, let's say, a calcium pill, because those binders and fillers adds a huge shock to the liver because your liver has to get rid of all of that because your body is not supposed to absorb it, and they
Mhm.
put it most cases they put it there so your stomach acid doesn't break down that supplement in the stomach to protect it. So your liver has to get rid of that now. So that's where I see a lot of issues can come from for long term usage, not short term.
Yeah. Of course. Okay. So, and that's a really good point, right? We have to pay attention to the supplements that we're taking, of course, and recognizing how long that we need to take it for. I
Yes.
know my mom is from a generation. I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you guys how old I am, but she's from a generation where she would take either a supplement or anything. Let's say she's getting a vitamin, but then after a certain period of time, she cuts it off. She will
Mm,
stop. Um, and I remember saying to her, like, well, why would you do this? Because of
yeah.
course I thought I was young and smart and knew everything when I knew nothing.
Right.
She would say, you can't like how she phrased it was you can't let the body become too accustomed. That's what she said. Don't let the
Right.
body become too accustomed to it.
Yeah.
And essentially that's what you're saying. Like if you're taking too much, which is don't let the body become too accustomed, then it gets rid of it. The body still needs time to heal. The organs still need time to do all the things so it can actually start producing and like naturally, right? So the supplements are helpful and we need it, but we have to recognize what we need at certain times, but at the same time rest the body. Kind of like eating food,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, right? Like we don't eat before we go to sleep. And when we're sleeping, we're not eating because the body needs to rest. The organs need to rest. The digestive tract needs to
Oh,
rest. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Our mitochondria needs to rest.
Mitochondria. Yes. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. It's working, but it needs to rest.
Yeah.
Um,
So a small adjustment. I want to
of course. Yeah.
do that statement, Alyssa, if that's okay.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
is that if a client is taking a supplementation for a certain reason, let's say, for example, they have joint pain
Hmm.
and they're taking a supplement that has hyaluronic acid, let's say, that
Yeah.
helps with the synovial fluid that's, sorry, not the synovial, but the fluid that's within the joints. If they start taking, let's say, in 3 months, the joint pain goes away and they feel they're functioning great, and they go off the product and they don't have that pain anymore, then that's perfectly great. But if they go off this is why I always say gauge according to how you
Yeah.
feel. But if they go off the product and they do feel that pain, then maybe keep taking it, and then you can reduce the dose according
Mhm.
to if you do want to reduce it and so forth, and go from that perspective. The third thing I wanted to add is that the next thing I wanted to add, uh, I always compare it's like the supplementation is supposed to be an addition to food.
Mhm.
So the way I always look at it is like a person should, let's say, stop taking omega-3 if they get um, a, small fish, let's say for like sardines and stuff like that, fish from the coast of Peru that's very clean, that
Mhm.
has a high amount of omega-3, then they don't need to add that omega-3 as a supplementation because they're getting it from their food,
Mhm.
to give you an idea. So supplementation always supposed to go with food because of that, Delisa.
Mhm.
So it's a lifelong lifestyle.
Yeah.
A drug, you should always look to see how much
Of
you can
course.
get rid of that as soon as
Yes.
possible. Yeah. So
Yeah. No. And I you know I not only hear what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying because yes, there's that. Um, I know that the supplements that you're speaking of. Does your company have those for kids as well?
we do, yeah.
The
And
the
yeah,
reason why I'm asking
yeah,
is because you know, like I come across a lot of people, a lot of parents, women with their kids. There are a lot of children who are suffering from this generic term IBS.
Yeah,
And they label it IBS because sometimes the doctors don't know. I'm not knocking any doctors, please, so
100%.
people understand, but they just use that term because they
Mhm.
know that there is a gut issue that's happening, but they cannot pinpoint specifically what it is. And so we're seeing a lot of children now aging faster, maturing quicker. You know, you're
Mhm.
seeing 8-year-olds that are like looking like they're 13, some of them, 8, 9-year-olds
Right.
looking really like older. You're seeing 4 or 5-year-olds, and their bodies cannot handle it because maybe they have a like bloatiness,
Mhm.
um, and it isn't because of anything. Sometimes they could be eating healthy or they're eating their vegetables.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now when it's time to, with their digestion, it's hard for them to use the washroom. Why? Because things are compacted. It's not moving, right?
Right.
Regularly. So
Correct.
how does they can get the rest, and these young kids, how can you help parents, how can you help their children um
Yeah.
that is experiencing all of this, and because of all of these other things that's happening, then they're experiencing arthritis younger and younger. I'm seeing so many of them
Mhm.
have arthritis and all of these things, and I know
Um,
you're not like officially like the like doctor in that sense, but I'm sure parents still give their kids. I give my daughter supplements,
right.
so what what can they do?
It's a very good and loaded question, though. So I'm glad you asked that, though. The reason I say it's a loaded question is a lot of nutritionists slash doctors who are into a lot of nutrition now focus on that question because they have seen childhood obesity, childhood diabetes, all these in the rise within the last 20 years or so. I would say it's been a huge upward trend.
Hmm.
And it is also a loaded question because it's so different from person or child to child.
Yes.
So I'll give you a great example. Having processed sugar in your diet
Mm.
can cause death of billions of good microbacteria in your gut, which can cause to reduction in the mucus layer that's within your gut wall. That's very important, not just for nutrition absorption, but a lot of the symptoms you just mentioned.
Mm.
So, eliminating processed sugar 9 out of 10 times, the child feels better right after.
Okay.
Yeah, and to give you an idea. And the reason also say that you processed sugar, not white sugar, is because you can everything now is designed to increase shelf life, right? Like when you go buy a cereal or whatever it may be, and there's so many additives in there, and so many ingredients that have been processed before you even get to that
Mm.
product. So we always want to focus on whole foods for your child as a start, and sugar should only come from stuff that's already sweet in nature. That's a good way to think about it. And kids love sweets, so or
Mhm.
sweet items.
Mhm.
So berries, your fruits, raw honey is a big one. When it
Mm.
comes to that, those types of ingredients should be the only thing that's on a kid's plate in order to reset the whole gut. But it is difficult, like if school cafeterias, if they start giving chocolate milk, for example,
Mhm.
or something of that nature, that does again affect your gut lining and gut bacteria. So one of the main things I always recommend is to do a reset for anybody like that,
Mm.
by not just eliminating bad processed foods, um, as a start, but then adding those good probiotics. So we have a very good children probiotic that's chewable, so kids can chew it. They don't have to swallow a pill or anything of that nature. It tastes pretty good, so you might get addicted to the taste. It tastes milky because
Yeah.
bacteria has that taste to it. Starting up something like that, and then there's a very high potent aloe juice that's
Mm.
sweetened with kiwis and strawberries. It's one of the flavors. And it's a concentrate. So you put like 2 ounces of it into a glass of water, and it tastes like vitamin water or something of that nature.
Mhm.
But it's like a juice, so kids love it,
Mhm.
and that really helps with the mucus layer in your gut. Plus, it helps with the immune system and all these other factorials as well. But that helps with having great gut health.
Wow.
And yeah,
Yeah,
so those.
sorry. So just to repeat that, you were
Yeah,
saying that the probiotic that for the kids,
yeah,
and it's made with natural um, ingredients, and of course
antibacterial.
organic,
Yeah,
all of those things, plant based. It's all plant based, so there's no binders or fillers in there. They're chewing it. It protects the gut. It helps. But then the like vitamin water or
the
I guess
aloe.
we call it, yeah, the aloe. Yeah,
Yeah,
the aloe juice. Um, that helps with the mucus, the acid, and
correct.
really not only protecting it, but moving things along.
Absolutely, yeah. And aloe has been used for thousands of
Of
years,
course,
so
yeah.
it's in nature and in literature now. So a lot of the caveats at that point is, oh, why can't I just get it from a leaf, and you
Yeah.
just scrape the. Yes, 100%. You should start there, but then focus on the medicinal grade aloe,
Mhm.
which is the one I broker. Because what those companies do is they take not just the active ingredients from the leaf itself, but the outer shell of the leaf itself too,
Mm.
and they take off the diuretic component of it, so you don't run to the washroom when
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
you take it.
Right.
But it has all the health benefits associated with it.
Oh, okay. So they're extracting very specific parts. So when they say you're getting, I don't know, the gel, you get the
Yeah,
gel. If they're saying that you're getting the shell part
yeah,
of the aloe or the prickly part, if
yeah,
anyone knows the aloe and you've ever grown aloe, um, you know, each layer of it has different minerals, different vitamins that
yes,
would support the gut health. Because a lot of people take aloe, um, I would say more so in North America.
hmm,
Around the world, they do use aloes, but they use it in different ways as well, right? And that's
correct.
more of a holistic things. But some people tend to overuse aloe in North America more as a weight loss strategy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so when you talked about like, so you're not going to the washroom, and we have to be so careful because you can overuse aloe, um,
Yes,
especially if you're using it for that specific purpose, because then the system gets so used to it, it just keeps flushing, flushing, flushing,
yes,
and you're not retaining any minerals or vitamins to be able to support you.
absolutely. Yeah, in a nutshell, that dehydrates your body
Yes.
from electrolytes, liquids, and everything. So it's not good. So you should always take aloe that has that diuretic component taken out, so you only get the benefits of it. That being said, though, like, the sweet aloes you might find in at the Chinese stores, where it may be,
Yeah.
not to knock them down, that's just a marketed juice. It's not a medical grade aloe, so look for something that's more concentrated that you can mix with water.
Hmm.
So you're actually getting aloe, and not
Yeah.
sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yes, because there's a lot of aloes that are sold all over. Like
Yeah.
even sometimes like at the WalMarts, for example, and they're like, oh, I could just get this aloe,
Yeah.
or like local corner store. And this is not to knock anybody or anything like that. We're just saying there's different qualities to it, and you want
Yes.
to pay attention to the sugars that are in there and what is actually
Mhm.
in there.
Yeah.
And so reading the label makes a huge amount of sense. Before we wrap up, thank you everyone who has been tuned in. You guys have been consistent throughout this entire time, staying in tune to the conversation. So thank you so very much. Um, Nipuna, when it comes to the work that you're doing and that you're helping people, a lot of it seems to me collaborative and community building. And so one of the questions that I have here is how has collaboration and mutual support drive the success in your health business and
It,
in health and in your health as well as in your business? Because I mean, you're also getting healthy too because you have to use some of the products to know
Yes.
what you're talking about. You
Yeah.
can't just depend only on the research, but this is also a business. So
Correct.
how has collaboration how has collaboration and mutual support driven success in health and business?
It has been everything to me personally, though, because I came from a more of a research background. So getting into more of an application type of environment directly affecting clients and consumers, it's a different field when it comes to that, especially in the beginning stages of my career. So collaborative work for me personally has been consistently personally growing my knowledge, just because science, it's a multiplication, right? It's an exponent where it grows every single week, every single month, with new research, new studies, new findings, and etc. So we always have to adapt and grow according to what's been discovered, and what's happening, and then at the same time stick to foundations. So the since I bought a franchise that's been in business 30 plus years, there's a lot of training and grounding, and a lot of research that's there, that's available to me, virtually, personally, all across the board. So even this Saturday, I'm going to a training to better myself.
Yeah.
So almost a monthly to a quarterly period, I'm always engrossing myself in that community, from the franchise perspective, from US and Canada, to learn and grow. So because there are physicians and doctors, nurses, you name it, all across the board, that attend and share the experience, what they found, what's working, what's not working, and the list goes on. So it's so important to learn from that, so I can personally grow and better help my clients. Personally wise, though, oh man, I was a very skeptical person, though. So, especially coming from a science background, when you hear about a product, or even starting a business, you want to do so much research before you take the smallest step. So for me, it was the fact that I know there's people who have gotten results. I know people who that haven't gotten results. So in science, you look at both data. You don't just look at one.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. Personally, I looked at individuals who's been taking the products, or have consultations within other franchisees in Canada that have success stories, and with certain products have not had success stories. So when I look at all that data information, um, two things were common. One is that the person that hadn't gotten a result uh, is because their condition was too severe that a supplementation can help. It had to be like a surgery or a medication or
Mhm.
something of that nature. Number two, they might have been recommended, there's less number, but they might have been recommended a negative, a product that was not aligned with what they were looking for, what they needed. And then the last, in terms of a product uh, not working, is that they haven't taken the right dosage, which is actually the number one issue
Mhm.
I find. Because even when it comes to something like what I was dealing with, arthritic pain, is different from different person to person. Someone might have severe pain, where someone might just have pain when they're moving, or if it's very little. So the dosage has a lot to do with measure, monitor, and adjust. So when I was first taking the antioxidant, my friend's franchise, who I bought it from, um, he kept following up to see how I was doing, how I was feeling. So in a week, if I haven't seen any result, he would say increase the dose and see how that works with your body. And then if I was getting results, then go back to normal dose and see how that works. And measure, monitor, adjust that way. So learning from that, that is what I offer my clientele now, because I focus on two things. This last thing I'll say is that the most important thing to me is that whoever I'm working with, that person gets results.
Mhm.
That's number one.
Yes.
And then number two is that those results are lifestyle changes that they can manage throughout their whole life, and fits within their budget.
Awesome.
Service is free, so that
Mhm.
they don't have to worry about. So when I combine those two things, it's kind of like a brushing your teeth example, Delisa. It comes with no effort, and they have a better quality of life as we age, and that's what
Yeah.
matters, right? being able to play with your kids as you get grandkids, even when you get older, and so on and so forth. So um, that's how community has helped me personally, and then
Yeah.
in terms of business wise.
Well, then, as you mentioned, habit stacking.
Yeah.
And what book was that from again?
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. You learned about habit stacking from Atomic Habits, and that has, you talked about the personal growth aspect for yourself. You
Yeah.
talked about that's part of the community, and you make sure that you are prepared. You make sure that you are equipped. You make sure that you are as knowledgeable, and you're operating from this space of excellence, really,
Yeah.
um, so that when you do connect with uh, a client, or anyone, regardless of if they decide to use the product or not, that's part of the community building. And then, of course, you surround yourself with other like-minded people, and you have a good support system. And
100%.
so all of it really is this holistic approach, a holistic view into your wellness, into your health, which affects and impacts your business.
Correct.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. There's no better accountability than people supporting each other towards a
Hmm.
common goal.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's been a pillar of my personal growth and how I help clients in general.
Hmm. Oh, and there's somebody that likes your like that book as well. The same
Oh,
one on the
nice.
topic that they put it in there, but it's coming up as like their name. But anyways, that's fine. Please share with the audience, how can they get in contact with you? How
Yeah.
can they reach out to you so that they can have a sit down and perhaps um, get the right supplement, figure out what's the right supplement that they would need.
Yeah, absolutely. First, you can follow me on Instagram. It's my first name that you see in display here, Nipuna C, the letter C, and then Perera. You'll find me on Instagram. Send me a DM, or you can even text me 647 My phone is available. And last, you can email me at thefitwhale, THEFIT, whale, WHALE, at gmail.com. So
That's
those are the three best ways to get in touch with me.
fantastic. Yeah, follow along, guys. That's the best way to not only build community, but to find out what it is that he's doing, how he's helping others, as well as how he could possibly and potentially help you with any pain that you may be having. Thank you so much, Nipuna, for joining in today. If there's any one of you out there who has tuned in, you guys have stayed tuned in, over 100 of you throughout this entire session. We want to thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Do know that Nipuna has shared some really great tips and thoughts here. He dropped some gems, I would say, and don't be dismayed, because there will be reels going out based on this, because I think it's too good to pass up. He talked about the sexy threes, or the five sexies, or what, I don't know. They'll have to call it
They're all
something.
sexy.
Yeah, something to help you on that health and wellness journey. He really shared a lot about how kids can improve their gut health by taking the right probiotic, and taking the right thing to help their gut lining, to help move things, while also allowing for the nutrition, the vitamins, the minerals to be attached to the cells, and to neutralize the cells, and to help keep the hydration levels up, so then they're not dehydrated. I mean, he even talked about how to recover from the cortisol and arthritis symptoms, these joint pains. These are not just things that we're here and we're listening to over
Mhm.
and over again. Anyone that has been on this program, before Christmas, we had this young lady. She's a huge component of eating real foods. And she
Yeah,
talked about real foods, and that was a huge
that's
part of it.
huge.
And she also talked about good supplementation.
Mhm.
But her focus was more on the foods. So take that past teaching on the whole foods and mix it with Nipuna's use of real wholesome supplements, and put it together. I hope
That's
you guys
it.
have an incredible, incredible day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.